Good morning, everybody. Good to see everybody. We've no apologies for absence. Can we approve the minutes of the 18th of June?
Agreed.
Okay. I've just one announcement. Our Chief Exec will have to leave the meeting under item 7 as he has an interest, procurement of regeneration partner. Don't think we've anything to add on the grounds of urgency. Can I draw your attention to members' declaration of interest? And then, Michelle, you've got an interest as well. Yeah. Okay. Key decision reports, Margaret.
Yes, thank you, Leader. First of all, before I present this, just brief background to where we are with this. There's obviously increasing demand regarding education, health and care plans. This is a national problem which is increasing, but it is impacting on children and young people and putting pressure on several budgets, as well as pressure on special educational needs and disability provision across the district. Because of these pressures on demand, we are having to look at placing children in education settings outside the district, which we will all agree is not the best way of doing it. But this is where we are with it. So, as well as resulting in much higher costs, it also potentially leads to less positive outcomes for children. This paper is focused on accepting the SEND capital grant funding from the DFE to create further capacity closer to our mainstream education and equip that system to meet a higher level of need. The proposal is in 3 parts. We have phase 1, which as you'll see on agenda page 10, is to target and work with 4 secondary and 2 primary schools to provide provision for SEND needs within their organisation. This will create 120 additional places across the district once rolled out over the next 3 to 5 years. We're hoping to have that completed by September 2025. Working with schools, the actual funding will go direct to schools, so it won't impact on the work we have to do within the council structure. It will be the schools themselves which have to organise the buildings, etc. We then move on to stage 2, which is provision with 2 schools, two organisations within Wakefield. This is to provide bespoke SEND provision in Wakefield with 2 SEND outline satellite provision. Phase 3 is then actually continuing with the small grants programme, which is detailed on agenda page 12. And this is to equip mainstream education to meet the needs of SEND children and young people. We already do that. We've done this over the past 3 years, and it's worked very successfully, giving small grants to schools to develop areas within the school for children, such as forest schools, such as, well, I opened one recently, which was lovely. It's a forest school with a beach and everything for children to really enjoy. They're looking at creating a Zen garden as well. So that is the 3rd part of the proposal. So that is what we're looking to do, and I'm hoping that you will agree to support option 1. This not only fulfills our statutory obligation, but also vastly improves the outcomes for our children and young people. So I'm asking Cabinet to approve option 1 and take questions if there are any.
Thank you, Margaret. Are there any questions? Jack?
Thanks, Denise. Yeah, it's more of a comment from me, Margaret, just to praise yourself and the team for this piece of work. I mean, I think, as we've always said with the Children's Services approach, keeping children closer to home, specialist provision in the district, improves outcomes for the children and their families, and also reduces costs for the taxpayer, incidentally. But I also want to really compliment the approach that Children's Services take when it comes to engaging on these projects. So agenda pages 28-31, you've got the voice of the child front and centre there, and some of the designs of the sensory gardens are really, really inspiring to see. So just keep it up, and I'm very happy to support this paper.
Michael?
Yeah, just to second what Jack's just said, and to welcome the report. We speak to a lot of people as councillors, and this is something that's really important to people. A lot of parents, I think, children with SEND definitely seem to have increased in the last few years as diagnosing gets better, etc. So I think this is a priority for the people out there, and I'm glad that we're putting some money into it to keep people close to home.
Oh, yeah, okay. No, it's a fantastic report, Margaret, and the work that your department and yourself are doing on this is amazing. And as Jack said, keeping children closer to home is the way forward. Even if it takes, you know, a long programme, it's well worth doing, and I think we all fully support it. If anybody else? Maureen?
Yeah, I want to endorse what's already been said. I mean, I found the engagement process so easy to read, in words that people can understand, and it made me want to read it. Sometimes you get things that you just think, oh, there's too many words there, you know, what are they trying to tell me, what's hidden in there. But it really is a good report, and I like the engagement as well, and the way that it's been presented.
But we've always made sure we hear the voice of the child. That's something we've always done in children's services, so it was important to take that in as well.
Well, I think you and your team have gone to so much trouble, Margaret, when you visited and talked to children, and you've always done that ever since you took over. So I think you and your team are to be congratulated on this.
Thank you very much.
Can we agree the report? Okay, thank you. Procurement of strategic regeneration partner. Get Tony a chance to leave. Who's kicking off? Michael? Okay.
Yeah. So, as everyone knows, we've got tons of regeneration going on right across the district. We set up the Town Centre Regeneration Fund, and there's plenty going on in a lot of our towns right across the district. We've got tons going on in Wakefield Exchange, the movement of the library, Cathedral Square, the hotel, lots going on in Castleford through the Towns Fund, through Levelling Up. It's just a huge number of regeneration projects right across the piece, and we've got plans for more as well. We know that we did a master plan for Wakefield a few years ago, and we're making good progress on that. But what this report is about is really speeding up that process and acknowledging the fact that there has been so many cuts to government over the last 14, 15 years in every single department. And if we want to, you know, be as ambitious as we want to be and get as much done as we want to get done, we can't do it by ourselves. And so this is looking for us to work with a strategic partner to really take on some of the projects that otherwise, if we're focusing on these big ones, might not ever get done, and we don't want that to happen. So things like the Orangery, for example, which is being sat there unoccupied, really loved building within Wakefield. We want to see that brought back into use, but it needs work doing, and we haven't got the capacity at the minute. Or the Elizabethan Gallery, another example of something that we could really be getting back and getting into use, which is what people want to see. I've made no sort of made no thinking about it that I'd also, and I know everyone in Cabinet and the public definitely would like to see some leisure in the city, or more leisure. We've already got some, but we know that as retail has gone down over the last few years, we need to get more things for people to do. We need to get more people living in the city as well, and I think this will really help us to achieve those goals. So there's a number of recommendations, which I'm not going to go through because I know everyone's read it, but from 2.1 to 2.6, I ask Cabinet to approve those recommendations, and let's really get going with everything else that we want to achieve for Wakefield.
Thank you, Michael. Les?
Yeah, obviously I fully support this, and we've had a number of discussions about it and the way forward. I think it's testimony to what's been happening in Regen with Michael and the team, that they've been pulling together a number of different operations right across the district, and I think that's important. There's some of the areas have always had this criticism about it's all Wakefield and Wakefield. This proves it's not all Wakefield. It's development right across the district into some of the towns and into some of the urban areas as well. But you do get to a point where we've only got so much resource to be able to deliver. And I want to use that word deliver, because what we need to do is deliver some of these right through to the end. And I think this report picks up on that. And so I welcome the report, and I think it's the right way forward.
Yeah, I certainly think it is. I mean, we have ambitious plans, but what we want to do is get on with them. And you know, we're not afraid to say that we want the private sector to work with us and help us in these things. Local authorities can't do everything on their own anymore. We need business people to come in from the private sector and really work with us, and I think this paper is setting out what we want to do, and we shouldn't be afraid to embrace the private sector and get people totally involved with us. We've got some marvellous schemes going forward, but they're going to take a long time, and the people and the public expect us to deliver. We announce in the press, we're going to do this, we're going to do the other, and then people say, well, when's it going to happen? It's going to take years, and people want to see something now. So I think this is a great suggestion, and I think you've both worked really well on this. So anybody else want to say anything? Matthew?
Yeah, I mean, as somebody who works in the High Street, not in Wakefield, but somewhere else, we can all see our town centres in free fall. They're not what there was. We're all seeing more shopping online. People are using banks like they used to. Everything. So we do need to reinvent our town and city centres. Something that sort of wide respect when the people said we need to be more like Barnsley or we need to be more like Leeds. We need to be Wakefield. Let's be Wakefield. Let's reinvent our city centre and our town centres. That's something that the people want. So it was surprising a couple of weeks ago. I think we all walked down to the cathedral and the amount of people was in that precinct, in the cafes and enjoying themselves. And it was fantastic to see. It was vibrant, so we can transform our city centres. It's just how we do that. A lot more cafe culture. And Michael's quite right. Leisure's going to play a massive, massive part in the future of our city and town centres right across the district. So it is inspiring. Let's get on with this piece of work.
I think so. Anyone else? Okay. Anyway, it's great initiative, great paper. Can we agree that?
Agreed.
Okay, thanks very much. Les, it's disposal of land at Highfield Place.
Yeah, this is to agree that the council enters into an option agreement with Persimmons Home Limited. I'll not go through all the details, as Michael said, I'm sure we've all read it. What we're looking at here is we have to look at some of the plots of land that we've got in and around the district, and we all know about housing, and this report brings it forward for that. But we should be mindful as well that as well as looking at the housing development and as well as getting much needed funds into the council by selling these plots of land, we've also got a football pitch involved in this side of it. And we've got to take care that we don't just rush into some of these things. I'm really pleased with this report that we've taken account of the football pitch and made sure that people alongside of these housing have that sort of facility. So what I would say is that I think it's option 1 is the preferred option, and I certainly think it suffices on the housing front, and it also suffices on making sure that the facilities that are there for the people are still going to be there for the people. So I welcome the report, and I hope that you can all agree to the report.
Are we all happy with that? Okay, that's great, thank you. Item 9 is the financial health report. Colleagues, this paper informs Cabinet of the financial health of the authority in respect of the Council's 285 million net revenue budget. It's an initial forecast position that sets out a potential emerging overspend of just over 10 million. As I reported to Cabinet in June, nationally there remains an ongoing increase in demand for our key services, and this would result in an emerging financial pressure going forward. In addition, in May, the National Employers Pay Award offer was announced. Whilst this is not yet agreed, the offer is above the budget assumption and has therefore added an initial 1.8 million of financial pressure, which has been included in this report. Table 1 on page 64 provides a breakdown of the forecast overspend by directorate, with further details included at section 3.9 of the report. Page 64 of the report also sets out that all directors have been asked to consider options to mitigate the emerging overspend, and a further update will be included in the September report. Good progress is being made in relation to delivery of the budget savings and efficiency proposals agreed by Council, with over 95% of all savings expected to be delivered. Savings will be reported on within each future report, and details on the specific savings are attached at Appendix 3 on page 89. The report also provides an update on the Council reserves, which are detailed at section 3.10 of the report. A 10 million overspend is not something which I take on lightly. Whilst the financial environment in all local authorities who are operating remains challenging, we are committed to take responsible action to maintain long-term, secure financial position for this council, its district and its residents. The recommendations are set out in section 2 on agenda pages 61 and 62, and I ask that we agree this report. Any comments, any questions, Les?
Yeah, I think it shows, and I think you'll start to see more and more reports coming forward about the financial position. We've stated on a number of occasions, quite rightly so, and I thank the team and the team that has kept everything on track for our council. However, the next 2 or 3 years, people should really realise the constraints that public sector are under, and that's us as well. And if we keep control, as we intend to keep control of the budgets, then hopefully we'll come out of it in 2, 3, 4 years' time. With the new Labour government, we would certainly hope that they'd look at the public sector, and I think it does need looking at. And it just shows that we're okay where we are, but we must keep on the track that we're on now. We can't deviate from that track. If we deviate from the track that we're on now, then we all see the consequences that some of our colleagues have unfortunately fallen into. So I certainly thank colleagues for the good work they do, but I also think people around this table should take a little bit of the praise as well for making sure that we bring reports along like this and we keep to the reports. And I'm sort of pleased with that side of things. So I do welcome the report, Leader, and I think we do need to keep on this track.
Thank you, Les. Anyone else? Yeah, we do need to keep on track, and we will do. And I do thank colleagues, Caroline and her team, for all they do for us. It is tough times in local government, there's no doubt about it. And whilst we were ahead of the game in West Yorkshire, you know, in a few years' time, we could be in the same situation if we don't keep track. We will be lobbying Keir Starmer and Rachel Reid. We've already written to them asking for some help. I know that there will be some announcements later this year, and let's hopefully that we can do. We are lucky that we've got Rachel Reeves as Chancellor in the next town, so it's not too much for her to call here, and that she has said she will. So let's see how that goes. But we must keep on track. We can't expect the government to bail us out. We hope they will, but we must make sure we do all we can to keep everything on track and keep this budget under order. It's not great that we've got the overspend, but I do think by September, when we report again, we may have better news. So can we agree the report?
Yeah.
Thanks very much. Item 11 is Treasury Management.
Yeah, this following the same the same sort of theme, and I think some of the figures here sort of conclude what we've already been talking about. This report, which commences on agenda page 113, informs Cabinet of the Treasury management activities for the 2023-2024 financial year and provides positive assurances, which is the important two sort of words, that these activities fully complied with all regulatory and legislative requirements. The report also details how the activities complied with strategy and policies which were approved by Council in March 2023. Section 1.2 of the report provides Cabinet with key issues, which are that the Council's long-term indebtedness of 544 million, which is called the capital financing requirement. This has increased from the previous year by 20 million, due primarily to capital expenditure being greater than the amount that was set aside to repay the debt. The Council's actual external borrowing totals 318 million, of which 65 million was short-term borrowing. It is the Council's strategy currently to borrow on a short-term basis due to high levels of interest rates. Where possible, the Council uses its internal reserves and balances to defer the needs to take on more external debt. This is termed under-borrowing, and this is the policy that has saved the Council significant interest payments in the 2023-24 financial year. The report was presented to Audit and Governance Committee in June for their scrutiny and will also progress to Council next week for information. The recommendations are set out in paragraph 2.1 on agenda page 114, and with that I'd like to ask that we note and agree this report. And just before we do, it does show that certainly the team and we've kept things on track of where we wanted to be. Some of these figures, you know, they might make people blink, but it's the process behind the figures that we keep in control of the situation on a regular basis. And for that, and I've already thanked the team, but I think it's prevalent for us to keep on top of this situation, and I promise that we will.
Thanks very much, Liz. Any comments, any questions? Can we agree the report? And we'll save the best till last, Michael. Over to you.
Thank you, Leader. So I think everybody knows about Nottingley and the Kellingley Club location and the history, and it's been through Cabinet a number of times. What I don't want right now is this isn't sort of a big announcement of this is what we're going to do, ta-da. I think the people of Nottingley are completely fed up with us saying we're going to do this, we're going to do that. I'm fed up of doing it. I know the residents are fed up of listening to announcements. But I do have to bring things through Cabinet, and I do have to update on the current plans. I am determined, and I know Cabinet is determined to deliver this for the people of Nottingley, and it will happen. But I agree with people out there who was, you know, let's wait until the spade's in the ground and then we'll say it. You're not going to see me walking around and announcing it with a flag. It's a tough situation. I know everyone's sick of it. In terms of this report, just a tiny bit of background. We've now split this whole scheme into 2 phases so that we can quickly deliver on something and get something to out there. Phase 1 is going to be the demolition of the old Kellingley Club, and it's going to be the creation of a new pavilion, because what we have got down there, as we know, is lots of great football teams, lots of children and young adults who come down and play, great teams, great coaches and great support down there, and we want to create something for them. They've currently got changing rooms that, you know, could be a lot better, and a facility that could be a lot better. So we're going to create that with a new bar, new function room, changing rooms for boys and for girls, which I think everyone will welcome, and new car park and new landscaping. At the same time, we're not just going to forget about phase 2, we're going to work that up, and it's all within the report. Get that through the REBA stages as well, looking at a separate building, final details to be confirmed, but something for the community with facilities in there and outdoor use as well. So this report is just to get us through the next phase and to move this project on and to get that spade in the ground. And I ask Cabinet to support the recommendations so that we can get that going. Thanks.
Okay. Anyone else? No, I think you're right to say steady away on this. We've made too many promises, too many announcements, but I do feel this report today sets out what we intend to do, and we will deliver this and move it forward. So thank you for bringing this report, Michael. So can we agree that?
Agree.
Thank you very much. It's the end of the meeting. Thank you.